At one point or another, you have been in a flow state, or in the zone as some people call it. And there's nothing quite like that feeling, and arguably that's what we're all trying to achieve most of the time, where we feel our best and we perform our best. The problem is, flow states are hard to conjure when we need it. And although we can't just press a button, there are things we can take control of within our environment to allow us to access it more consistently. Specifically, there is a 4-stage blueprint to flow, which we can learn and influence. So in today's video, you're going to learn 1, what is flow state? The second thing you're going to learn is why accessing these states are more important than ever before. And the third thing you're going to learn is the 4-stage blueprint. We're going to break it down step by step for you to begin to look at your life and change the environment to allow you to access flow more consistently. Additionally to that, there's a free PDF workbook which you can download for free below. If you're new to my videos, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell. That way you'll be notified each and every week when I release new content. So when you've done that, let's dive straight in. I'm Richard Hussaini, here to support you along a path to personal mastery, and personal mastery being the path of inner work and outer action. On to part 1 of today's video. What is flow state? Flow, as it's known in the academic world, is an optimal state of consciousness in which you feel your best and you perform your best. It refers to those moments of rapt attention and total absorption where we're completely immersed in the task at hand and we're in the very, very deep now. Now, there's an acronym which was first defined by the Flow Genome Project that describes the very subjective experience that we all feel in a flow state. And so that's STER, S-T-E-R. The first one is S, selflessness. And this is where our sense of self vanishes. The sense of I is gone and we're immersed in the deep now. Our inner critic, our self-talk, our inner narrative goes quiet and we're just experiencing a complete peace and presence in the very moment, in whatever task we're doing. Now the T stands for timelessness, where time is distorted. 3 hours can go past in 5 minutes, or 5 minutes can seem like hours. Time is very strange in a flow state. E is for effortlessness, and really that's describing the sense of ease in the moment. We're just doing for the sake of it. The fancy term is autotelic. We're doing the task or activity because we love it. We're really sensing the joy of the practice of it and not the result. And the final one is R, richness or information richness, where creativity, pattern recognition, insight is gleaned from these moments that may not be or may be adverse in other times of the day where we're just caught up in our thinking. We get new insights. There's over 100 years of research that shows that the attributes that flow maximizes, so innovation, learning, creativity, cooperation, overall well-being, are crucial to all of us in this 21st century. The peak state that flow experience provides us offers us the potential of a very profound perspective shift, which allows us to step into our life in our full expression. A life of flow is not only a high-performing one, but also a life rich in healing, meaning, and purpose. On to part 2 of today's video. Why harnessing flow states is becoming more crucial than ever before. One of the major elements that connects flow states with other peak experiences is the biological signature that shows up, so what our physiology is doing in the moment. When we use these knobs and levers, we can effectively and skillfully tweak our physiology, which allows us access to these powerful peak states. Simply saying, we move away from stress, we move away from being stuck in this repetitive cycle of constantly on, our stress hormones flowing, we're constantly on this state of alert, into a complete biological reset where our physiology is just baselined, and so we're in our present moment in the deep, deep now. When we tweak just one of these, it brings our brains and bodies online. So think of heart-brain coherence. Our hearts and our brains begin to sync up. A simple practice of that could be breath work. When we begin to combine these elements, we become a fully integrated human being, which allows powerful access to these profound states. These states allow us to get a focus on where we're broken emotionally and energetically, and allows us to heal. These states allow us to show up fully, and indigenous cultures across the world, including the Blackfoot people from North America, say that we need to deal with our stuff and be our full selves so we can contribute to the well-being of our society. Flow has a diverse range and goes well beyond creativity and productivity, and at its most profound, it can be one of the most meaningful experiences of our lives. Now, I've done a video on this before featuring Jamie Wheel, which you can find the link below. And this goes into the triggers and why these states are being used in mainstream now to get past our internal narratives to help solve wicked problems. Flow states are really a way of reconnecting to our intuitive being. And so we get to understand ourselves and others better, which just allows for greater compassion and patience. On to part 3, the final part of today's video, the 4-stage blueprint to flow. To begin your journey into flow and all that it offers, I want to introduce you to the 4-stage blueprint of flow. And this was originally developed by Jamie Wheal at the Flow Genome Project. See this as a roadmap for your life, where you begin to break the stages down, the 4 stages down, and you begin to see where, one, you're maybe doing too much or you're doing too little, and begin to maybe change your focus. It's a really powerful way of doing this. So step 1 is simply the struggle phase. We need struggle to focus. And so whether that's fear, whether that's a time limit, whether that's some element of difficulty that is manageable, we need that struggle. You know, that stickiness of, you may have a report you need to do for work, or you know you've got this productivity job, or you want to, you've got a hobby that you want to take to the next level. It requires you to learn a new skill or new technique. And so within that, it means you're going to return back to a beginner. Maybe you've mastered a certain level, but when we need to begin to progress, we have to kind of learn and struggle and be happy with being in that uncomfortable phase of new. See this as a loading phase. And so simply you're giving your brain, overloading your brain with new information. So an example in a sporting context would be maybe a tennis player learning a new shot. Or it could be a writer researching for a new book, or it could be a musician learning a new key or a new instrument. Above all else, flow begins with this. We need this. We need struggle to engage our brain and our bodies in a new way. Step 2 is simply release, releasing away, taking a step away from the task at hand, moving away. So an example for me would be working on a project, and I move away from my project and I go and do some exercise. Maybe I go for a bike ride in nature. Maybe I go for a run. Maybe I go into the sea. It's allowing my subconscious brain to process the conscious information that's within my mind, and we begin to link patterns, link ideas together that otherwise may be unavailable to us. You don't have to do anything specific. You could go for a long walk, you could spend time in your garden, you could look at the night sky, you could look at the clouds passing through the sky. Something that's taking your mind off the task at hand. You're doing something completely different. Important thing to say with this is, if you are focusing your brain on something productivity, you don't want to move from one productivity task to another one. Or a simpler way of putting it, you don't want to go from computer to your phone. We need to disengage that type of processing into something new. And the power of nature, so many powerful benefits, but one of the main things is that it gives us a panoramic view. And so when we have a panoramic view, we switch from a stress state, and all stress meaning is focused, into recovery, into recuperate, into a state where our body can regenerate and process things away from a focused position. Step 3 is flow. So stress chemicals within our body start to leave our body and replaced by feel-good neurochemicals. Our brain is trading energy that's normally put for other purposes into the flow state. And step 4 of this blueprint is recovery. So after the high of flow, you're going to get a big crash. And this is a critical point to this stage. You need high quality rest, nutrition, sleep. All the things that we take for granted sometimes, we need to optimize to be able to get back into flow, get back to be able to struggle more effectively. So you see how this blueprint begins to cycle round. And this is the key, and this is what I see in most people that I work with. Most people struggle too much and recover poorly. They don't even have a recovery strategy. Do you have a recovery strategy? And all that means is, if you do know what gets you into flow, do you know how to optimize yourself? Do you prioritize your sleep window? Meaning that you go to bed, could be that you go to bed at the same time and you wake up at the same time every single day. So you get a consistent pattern of knowing that you get enough sleep, knowing that you get enough quality sleep, and knowing that you have the right nutrition choices, for example, in your store cupboards. If you really want to get more flow in your life, you're going to need to struggle better and recover better. So a reflection for you, and 3 questions. The first question is, where are you currently coasting in your life? It could be professionally, it could be in your one of your relationships, it could be in your hobby, it could be in whatever related to yourself, but where are you currently coasting? Where are you not receiving enough challenge? The second question is, where in your life are you overtaxed and need to back off? Where's your back against the wall that you're just crying for time to back away from it? And the third question, which is the most important, is what are your default habits within these? So an example would be if people are struggling too much, they're working too many hours, they're coming back late at night, which means they're probably getting convenience food. They're probably rewarding themselves with too much alcohol, needing sleeping aids to get to sleep, waking up in the morning, coming back onto their phone. You see how this cycle, their default patterns, they're cramming in things because they perceive they haven't got enough time. They're taking on too much, ultimately. As I said at the beginning of this video, there's a workbook, free workbook for you to download below, where you're going to learn really kind of the main flow triggers to allow you to prescribe them into your life, see which ones suit you, which you can become to do more of, and then how to plan this in your life. It's all well and good talking about it, but what does that look like? And on paper, you're going to see two examples of one on a day-to-day basis and on a weekly basis that you can begin to use in your life right now. So over to you. How does this resonate with you? What have you found useful? What practices do you do right now to allow you to access these states more consistently? And how do you get into flow? What's your favorite activities? What do you do? Are you someone that's a creative? You like to write, you like to read, you like to sing? Or are you someone that's very active? You like to go mountain biking, you like to, what are for you? I'd really love to hear, so please comment below. As always, thank you again so much for watching this content, and please like and share. It just helps the algorithm and helps more people find this content. So thank you again, and see you on another episode.